You did say 30XX, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there a close-up of that gun that would help describe what type of gun it is?
I believe it's 31XX.
Okay, 31XX. And what kind of gun is that?
It's another Glock semi-automatic handgun.
Okay. Can you tell what type projectiles or what caliber projectiles that gun fires?
It's a little difficult to tell from this picture, but from the picture alone.
Okay. Now, neither of these first two guns were the switch, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Could you tell us what about the next gun? What number we should display?
Oh, sir, I apologize. There's actually another photo, I believe, of that gun we were just looking at, 32XX.
All right. Mr. Atkins, if you could display 32XX. All right, thank you. And for that second gun, that's the serial number?
I believe it is, yes.
And it's BNU633.
Yes, sir.
All right. How about the third gun?
The third is 21XX.
And what can you tell us about this gun as far as the caliber or the manufacturer or anything?
It's another semi-automatic handgun, and it appears to be a Smith & Wesson, although I can't read it on the photograph.
Okay. And is that a switch?
No, sir.
Okay. And is that the serial number? 22XX?
22XX. Yes, sir.
All right. Great. Thank you. How about the fourth gun?
The fourth is 19XX.
Okay. And what can you tell us about this gun?
And this appears to be a tan Glock semi-automatic handgun.
Okay. Is that a switch?
Does not appear to be.
The fifth gun?
That would be 15XX.
Okay. What can you tell us about this gun? Is there another picture associated with that gun?
14XX and 15XX.
14XX. Let's go with that. What can you tell us about this gun?
It's another semi-automatic handgun. Also appears to be a Smith & Wesson.
Okay. And how about the sixth gun?
This is 51, 52, and 53XX.
Now that gun, what can you tell us about that gun?
This is another Glock semi-automatic handgun, and it does appear to have a conversion switch attached to the weapon.
Okay, that is the switch.
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. And those are the 6 guns that were collected from Jeffrey Williams' residence on May 9, 2022.
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Okay, I just want to clear something up. And I'm speaking about, I'm not going to go in through individually. I'm talking about all 6 firearms. Okay. Do you have any evidence that Mr. Stillwell has ever touched any of these firearms?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any evidence that ballistically, any of these firearms were ever used in the Shamal Drinks homicide?
I didn't conduct that follow-up investigation, so I don't know whether it was or wasn't, but I'm not aware of any evidence that it was, or any of them
Okay.
were.
And that includes the switch too, correct?
It does.
Okay. And do you have any evidence, ballistically or otherwise, that any of these guns were used in the January 10, 2015 shooting of Donovan Thomas?
I do not.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. I appreciate that, Detective Belknap. I'm going to move to your work on March 17th. When you arrived on Meadowlark Drive, you saw the white Audi, correct?
Yes, sir.
It was still in the parking lot.
It was in the driveway, yes.
Excuse me. Yes, sorry. The driveway. Still had the Maryland tags affixed to it.
It did.
Still had the tint.
I don't recall noting the tint.
Okay.
I don't believe the car had been altered.
Okay. You don't believe the car had been altered? What do you mean by that?
I don't believe the car had been moved or processed at that time when I arrived on the scene.
Oh, okay. Okay. You mentioned finding a beanie.
Yes, sir.
And that is an evidence and was just admitted through you.
Correct.
Okay. So that beanie would be a separate beanie from any beanie that was collected on March 17th at 2830 Waters Road.
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, it was collected on Meadowlark Lane.
It was collected
On
on
Meadowlark
Meadowlark
Drive.
Lane.
Yes.
Okay. So if there's a separate beanie, if there's a beanie that was collected and put into evidence from Waters Road, there's two separate beanies, correct?
It would appear so, yes.
And the beanie that you collected on Meadowlark Drive was, well, do you know who was wearing that prior to their arrest?
Yes, sir.
And was it my client, Shannon Stillwell?
It was.
And you collected that beanie because you had viewed the BP video that Detective Hogan had showed you already, correct?
I had.
And you had noted that Mr. Stillwell was wearing a pink beanie in that BP video.
I had observed that, yes.
And that's clear video as far as videos go. It wasn't grainy, it was clear. And you saw Mr. Stillwell wearing the pink beanie.
Yes.
And that's why you collected this pink beanie, because he was, in your mind as a detective, it was important to collect that pink beanie because it matched what's in the BP video.
Well, I agree with that. Just to be clear, it was collected prior to my arrival and was given to me to transport to property.
Okay. And you made sure you put it into property.
I did.
Okay. All right. The bag of drugs.
Come over to YouTube. I'm on YouTube.
Did you recover that backpack?
I did not.
Okay. Have you seen the video from the Phoenix helicopter?
I have.
Okay, and you would agree that it was Mr. Nichols that threw that book bag into those bushes, correct?
I would. Yes, sir.
All right. And prior to, from that video, you can see Mr. Nichols exiting the white Audi with that book bag.
That's correct.
Okay. In your experience as an officer, you have seen people flee from the police because they have drugs in the car, correct?
I have.
Okay. The FN Hurstel 5.7, serial number 386409184, that I believe is in evidence 221 VV. That was collected by Trooper Campbell and given to you for evidence, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And you would agree that that gun is not a switch. It's not modified, not a switch.
No, it is not.
Okay. And then later, you were called by an officer Klickner to collect an FNX 45, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And just to be clear, the FN, going back, the FN 57 shoots 5.7 rounds, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And the FNX 45 tactical shoots 45 caliber rounds.
Yes, it does.
And those are the two guns that were located at Meadowlark Drive on March 17, 2022, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you collected those firearms and brought them into property, into evidence to preserve for further investigation, correct?
I did.
Okay. Those two guns, either the 5.7 and the 45, do you have any ballistic evidence linking those guns to the January 10th, 2015 shooting of Donovan Thomas?
Because the people want to know.
I didn't conduct any ballistics investigations on the firearms, so I don't have any ballistics evidence related
Okay.
to these.
Do you have any evidence that connects them to the January 10th shooting of Donovan Thomas as we sit here today?
I do not.
Okay. And how about, and let me ask you, okay, and how about this? Those two guns, the 5.7 and the 45, do you have any ballistic evidence that connects those guns to the March 14, 2017 shooting of Shamel Drinks?
I don't have ballistic evidence of any kind related to these weapons.
In fact, neither the 5.7 or the 45 even shoots 40 caliber. They're not capable of shooting 40 caliber rounds, are they?
Neither is chambered to shoot a 40 caliber round.
Okay. You, just a couple more questions. You indicated that Detective Hogan had you look at the video for the FedEx to identify Mr. Stillwell and also Mr. Nichols, correct?
I reviewed the video at some point. I believe that what I initially saw were some of the social media photos of Mr. Nichols. I don't remember what I saw initially.
Did you review the BP video at some point?
At some point, yes.
Okay, this is what I want to know. Did you ever review with Detective Hogan or by yourself the FedEx video from March 14th, 2017? Excuse me, March 14th, 2022.
I don't recall if I ever reviewed that video or not.
Okay, so you're not even certain if you've ever seen that video.
I don't know. I'm not certain if I have or not.
Okay. All right, thank you. No further questions.
Redirect.
So who watched the video?
Come on.
I know I'm surprising the court, but
Sorry.
At this point, we need to know who watched the video.
good morning.
Good morning.
We have met. It's good to see you again.
Yes, sir. You too.
So I have some questions about what you said today. You mentioned that to Mr. Shart that Mr. Kendrick was present in the house at Allison Drive, May 9th, 2022. Correct? Did-
I don't recall exactly what his question was, but yes,
Okay. Did you actually see Mr. Kendrick in the house?
I did not.
Okay. The 6 guns that were found in that house, in Mr. Williams' house, do you have any evidence that Mr. Kendrick was ever in possession of those 6 guns?
I do not.
Do you have any evidence that he was anywhere near those 6 guns?
I do not.
Did you take part in the inventory, possession, or transport of the jewelry that was found in Mr. Williams' home?
Oh shit.
My role during the search was to take photographs of evidence as it was recovered.
Do you recall there being 2 Richard Mille watches in Mr. Williams' home?
I don't know if I would know those if I saw them. So I don't know if there were 2 or not.
Okay. Do you recall seeing it's a Richard Mille brand. I understand you don't know what that brand would look like, but do you recall seeing a white ceramic watch with a pink band in the jewelry that you collected or that was collected in that home?
I believe one was. Do I remember seeing it? I certainly don't. This, a couple years later.
Okay. If a Richard Mille RM055 Bubba Watson white ceramic watch is not present in property today, do you know what happened to that watch?
I wouldn't have any idea.
Okay, thank you very much.
Where is the money, LaShondra? We want to know what it's
Redirect.
at.
Detective Belknap, on cross, you were asked by defense counsel about the May 9th search of Jeffrey Williams' home. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Now, you actually were the photographer of those crime scene photographs we walked through, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
Now, you remember being asked questions about, I believe it was the 6 firearms that you found in that house,
Yes, sir.
and if they have any ballistic evidence to the March 14th, 2022 murder of Shamel Drinks. Do you
Correct.
recall that?
Yes.
Now, how many months later was this search from March 14th, 2022?
That'd be 2 months later.
Was Demekion Garlington arrested on May 9th, 2022 at Jeffrey Williams' home?
He was not.
Was Shannon Stillwell arrested on May 9th, 2022 in Jeffrey Williams' home?
No, he was not.
What about Miles Farley?
He was not.
What about Quarmavius Nichols?
He was not.
Now, I want to also ask you as the photographer, I'm going to publish what's marked as 64 X-ray. It's going to come up on the big screen and on your computer. Is this one of the photographs that you took?
It appears to be.
I'm going to go to 65 X-ray. Is this one of the photographs that you took?
It is.
Why did you take this photograph?
In documenting this scene, we saw this pamphlet for Mr. McMiller's funeral. Mr. McMiller was associated with YSL with Mr. Williams and had been shot and killed.
What was the date that he was murdered?
It was March 11th of 2022.
And do you recall if that murder was at a house or on a highway?
It was on the highway.
Is it, I don't have
You got to remember yesterday, y'all.
on
That's
this
what we did.
whiteboard, is that March 11th, 2022 and I-75, 85?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
And was Shamel Drinks murdered how many days after March 11th?
I believe it was 3 days later.
Now, I also want to ask you about, thank you, Mr. Body. You were asked on cross by defense counsel about a watch. Do you remember that?
I do.
Now, I'm just going to come out and ask you because we've been dancing around it. Did you steal any watch or know of any APD personnel who stole any item from that house?
Thank you.
Absolutely not.
Can you tell the jury the protocols that are in place when you document, was everyone wearing body cam?
They were.
And can you describe for the jury the process y'all have when you go through that large amount of evidence on a scene like that? In terms of, do you video when you're putting it into property?
Yes, usually our body cameras will be running during the search of the home, during the transport, and at property when submitting property.
And were you all on scene or working that case for a short time or a long time?
We were out there for several hours.
One brief moment, Your Honor.
I feel like he just told Doug, look, if you look.
Detective Belknap.
Thank you.
All right, any recross?
You were asked on redirect if you're aware of any member of the APD that would have stolen this particular watch I asked you about, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have full and total knowledge of all the activities of members of APD?
I don't.
If this particular watch, this Richard Mille watch, ceramic watch, is present in a photograph from Jeffrey Williams' home and it is no longer present in property right now, could anything have happened to that watch other than it have been stolen or lost?
Well, no, not every item that we photograph is ultimately taken as evidence. And I think there are probably a broad number of possibilities of what could have happened to that watch other than it being stolen or lost.
Is it the practice of your office to leave behind a $500,000 watch when you're seizing jewelry?
I don't know that I can answer that as far as practices go. I have no idea the value of this watch that we're discussing, so I'm woefully uneducated as far as that goes. And I can tell you that unfortunately, as diligent as we are, sometimes even evidence is left behind at scenes. In this case, I don't have any specific information about this particular watch.
Can you explain to the jury the procedure when you go about seizing a vehicle, such as was seized at Jeffrey Williams' home?
As far as the procedure, we would call a tow truck to come and tow that vehicle to another location.
Is there any searching of the vehicle and inventorying of property within that vehicle at the time of the seizure?
It can depend on the scene and if there's a search warrant for the vehicle or if the vehicle is accessible. Sometimes the keys may not be present, can't access a vehicle. And sometimes it's towed to a secure location to conduct an inventory or further processing of that vehicle.
If the vehicle is accessible at the scene and you have a warrant that allows you to enter that vehicle, what's the procedure for what you do with the contents of the vehicle?
Typically, those contents would be cataloged. Valuable items may be secured. Evidence may be seized.
Is the procedure to leave valuable items within the vehicle?
Not typically. And again, that could be case dependent if the vehicle is going to be removed to another secure location for further processing.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for your time. You are excused.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
United States calls crime scene tech Antoinette. At the end of the day, y'all didn't leave that watch because y'all took a picture of it. It was supposed to be in evidence. Okay. It was supposed to be there. It ain't there no more. So somebody got to say something. Somebody need to tell us where's the watch. Where is the money, LaShondra?
Antoinette Green, ANTONETTEGREEN.
And welcome back. You've been here before with us, haven't you?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to direct your attention to March 22nd, 2022. Did you have the occasion to respond to the homicide case to assist in a homicide investigation?
Yes.
And what is the APD number, do you know now, associated with the case that you were working? Do you know the APD case number?
Not an offhand, I don't.
We're looking at a copy of, did you do a report in that case?
Yes, I did.
We're looking at a copy of your report, help refresh your memory.
Yes.
I'm hollering. Y'all are so funny in this chat.
I'm going to approach you with what I'm going to mark as State's Exhibit 373 BV. First, tell me if you recognize 373 BV.
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
This is my report.
And will that help refresh your memory as to the APD case number for that case?
Yes.
What is the APD case number?
The full case number is 220731882.
And tell the jury, where's the homicide cage located?
It's located at the annex 3493 Donnelly Hollowell.
And why were you requested to that location?
I was requested to do a follow-up with investigator Hogan at the time.
And what did Investigator Hogan request of you?
He requested me to photograph and process 2 vehicles in the cage.
If you could tell the jury briefly, when you're asked to process a vehicle at the homicide cage, what are you going to do? How do you process a vehicle?
It depends on what the homicide or officer wants to be done, but usually in this case, I photographed the vehicle and searched for evidence.
And how many vehicles were you asked to process?
2,
And what were those 2 vehicles?
it was a Audi A5 and a Nissan Versa.
And did you have any particular order as to how you processed those vehicles?
Yes, because he had a search warrant for the Audi A5, I processed that one first.
Why did you do that one first? Just because of the search warrant?
Yes,
Okay. And then did you subsequently process the red Nissan Versa after that?
yes,
And have you had the opportunity to look at pictures from your processing of those 2 vehicles?
yes, I have.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 361 VV through 387 VV. Are those the photographs that you looked at previously that depict when you process the vehicle?
Yes,
And do those appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the homicide cage when you process both the Audi A5 and the red Nissan Versa?
yes,
At this time, the state would like to tender and admit 361 VV through 387 VV.
Those are admitted.
Thank you. Permission to publish?
You may.
The pictures are going to come up both on this screen and on the screen.
okay.
Gaston, I'm waiting on it too.
I'm going to first start with 361 VV. And while it's coming up, tell the jurors when you, should start with 361 VV. Sorry, 373 VV, I apologize. When you process the vehicle, tell the jurors how do you go, your steps in processing the vehicle.
Okay, so my first step is to photograph of the vehicle 360. So I would do the rear, the passenger, the driver's side, and the front of the vehicle. And then from there, I would go inside of the vehicle and photograph it as well, starting with the driver's side, going to the driver rear, going around to the passenger rear, and then back to the passenger front. That's how I process the vehicle.
Now, looking at Exhibit 373 VV, is this the white Audi A5?
Yes, it is.
And what is the tag number on this vehicle?
Number 8 is in Edward, D is in David, number 7071,
And what is the tag number? I mean, where's the state issuing the license?
Maryland.
And in looking at State's Exhibit 373 VV, do you see tints on the front dashboard of the vehicle?
Well, yes, it is dark.
Okay. And can you, looking at this picture, look and see inside of that vehicle?
No, I cannot.
I want to look at 374 VV, 375 VV, and 376 VV. Is that what you were just referencing by taking the 360 picture of the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And looking at those pictures, 374, 375, and 376, did the car appear to have tints on all sides of the vehicle?
Yes.
And in looking at all sides of the vehicle, were you able to look inside of that vehicle?
No.
Not through the windows?
No.
All right. I want to look at 377 VV, 378 VV, 379 VV, 380 VV, and 381 VV. What were you depicting in those exhibits?
Like I had stated earlier, those are the interior photos of the vehicle from all sides. And just showing me what's in the vehicle.
And looking at 382 VV,
Mhm.
what, if anything, were you trying to depict in 382?
That's just showing me, I always show like all the photos are not here, but I always show like opening that door in the interior side of the door.
And there's, looking at 384 VV, excuse me, 3.
Is that a phone in there? What happened? Ah, y'all, something happened to my feed. Arr. Ah, man. Something is going on, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna have to come. I'm gonna stop the stream real quick and then
It's like wow. It's like Investigator Hogan.
And did you ultimately take or cut out that headliner?
Yes, I did.
wait a minute. So y'all did take the headliner.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 388. Tell me if you recognize 388.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop the stream, y'all. I'll be right back. Cause something ain't right.
Yes.
And how do you recognize 388?
This is the bag that I collected the liner in.
And once you collected the liner, what, if anything, did you do with it after packaging it?
I was requested to send it to the GBI for gunshot residue.